everybody. Welcome to the Patty G Show. I'm your host, Patty G. We are here with Jack Jensen for another episode of the Patty G Show. I am so excited to get to speak with him about everything that he's done over the course of his career, learn a little bit more about the behind the scenes of his business, and just talking entrepreneurship and growing brands from the ground up in general, and maybe even when it's time to look at other brands to expand your reach and your portfolio. So for those listening, we're about to get started. I just want to remind y'all that we've got some great sponsors on the show, and that is Alvarez Construction. We are super happy they came on board a couple weeks ago, and we are loving it. And let's get into the episode. So Jack, thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. Taking the time to drive. You're one of the out-of-town guests that drove in, so I'm very appreciative of your time.
You're very welcome. Happy to be here.
Good. So what is it that you do? How would you describe yourself?
So I'm retired about 6 years now, but still very active in the day-to-day, talking to the movers and shakers of my companies. Just kind of more now than ever, giving advice. Sort of like been there, done that type thing. You know, guys, I tried this 10 years ago, it doesn't work. And, just advice basically at this point.
Yeah.
So
preventing them from repeating the mistakes you've made along the way.
That I've made along the way. That's right.
So you've got quite a portfolio with some similar brands, but some different brands.
Yes, exactly. So what we decided to do in the 80s, I started a company in 83 with one truck driver, and knowing that there were a bunch of trucking companies in the city of New Orleans, we had to be different. We had to be different in that everybody can drive a truck and everybody can get a truck driver to do it. Well, we immediately got into the warehousing business. So we started trucking, then warehousing, and offering a lot of different things. And when I say trucking, Patrick, we are just doing port-related business, Port of New Orleans-related container business.
So from it comes into the port,
comes into the port on a ship, and it might go into my local warehouses, or it might go to a company in Birmingham, or a company in Baton Rouge, or a company in Lake Charles, and we'll deliver the container there, and the container has to get back to the ship. And that's basically what we do. We run about 150 trucks in the city of New Orleans now. We have 25 or 26 in Mobile, and we run about 30 trucks in Baltimore.
Okay.
So that's our locations. And over the years, we've always concentrated on import-export products. So in the 80s, late 80s, 89, we had a customer that was importing birdseed. And birdseed was coming in from Ethiopia and India, and it had to be sterilized under USDA guidelines. So we had hired a guy to create a heater for me, a dryer, to sterilize the seeds so the weed seeds wouldn't grow in the country. So we did that business in New Orleans for 2 or 3 years, and we had to move it to Baltimore because of freight reasons. The ships weren't calling New Orleans anymore. So we opened up in Baltimore, and today we're doing 55,000 tons a year of birdseed. Wow. We're importing 55,000 tons a year of birdseed, and we sterilize the product, we bag it, we then ship it out to customers, and so that's what our birdseed company does. So it's very diverse portfolio of businesses, but all related to port, all related to import-export. Our export company is our TCI Plastics. We package the plastic chemicals from the chemical companies up and down the river. They ship it to us in rail cars. Then we load the plastic into super sacks or 50-pound bags, and we load it in containers for export. And that's our business. Another diverse company, very diverse from trucking, but it gives us trucking in the end.
Yeah,
because what we do. I'm in the trucking business.
Yeah, you've got trucking is initially when I think of somebody driving a truck, it's driving down the interstate, it's driving down highways, delivering these products, but you're taking products from directly off the ships or rail, putting them in your warehouse, repackaging them.
More or less, that's right.
And then distributing them out. So you've gone from one business of just delivery only to now we take the products, package the products, and then redeliver the products in the new form.
Exactly right. So look, we got a company. Being in packaging, we know how to move product. And in the last 3 or 4 years, we've been handling chicken meal.
Okay.
And it's all the parts and pieces left over from the chickens that are then dried into a powder. So we get 18-wheeler trucks, we get 18-wheeler tank trucks, which bring us the meal in powder form. We package it and we export it down to South America, Central America for fish feed, for food, fish food for the salmon plants and the Chilean bass plants who are actually stocking, stock growing this fish. And it's fish food. And it turns out it's 60, 70 containers a week. So that's what we do.
Wow.
I mean, it's just, it's homegrown business and what we're doing, just like our Granite business. We started with New Orleans in gee whiz, right after Katrina, 2007, I think, 6 or 7. And we started Granite business and we got 19 stores today. We're bringing in 250 containers a month. The train got my attention.
Threw you off.
250 containers a month which goes into New Orleans, Houston, and Richmond, Virginia.
Wow. So 250 containers
a month.
Just for the Granite Company
alone.
Just
for the Granite Company alone.
So how many containers will y'all touch in a month? Across all of them?
20,000 probably.
20,000 containers a month?
Yep, a month.
Wow.
My trucks are touching that many containers a month.
Wow.
It's our business, customers' business. And also we knew that there's a lot of truckers in town and everybody's after the same business. So we figured if we created our business, my trucks would work.
Yeah.
I didn't have to go out to the other companies like TCI, my company, to do this. We knew that if I had the trucking business in my hand, I could give it to my trucks.
Yeah.
And that's why we're so successful with the trucking business.
So how did you get into trucking?
I graduated from UNO with a degree in management and was working for the railroad right out the bat. I put my resume in and it was right at deregulation. All the trucking companies were laying off people and I remember putting my resume in and they didn't want, and the stack was 4 inches high of people trying to get a job of resumes, and they took mine because I knew nothing about the trucking business. They wanted to teach me the trucking business their way. The railroad did.
So they didn't want a seasoned person coming in with their own ways,
correct,
their own habits. It was, we can take this young guy,
make it fresh,
and do it our way.
That's right. So I went in, learned that, and worked at the railroad a couple of years, and then went to work for a container company. And then in '83, I started my own company.
Wow.
I had my son was born. Katie was just born. My second child was just born. And I went home and told Cindy, I think we're going to start a trucking company. And her comment was, well, what happens? I said, well, if it fails, I'll go back to work for another trucking company.
Yeah.
And we weren't worried about it at all. And we never looked back. Looked back. So
how did the rail company take that when you went and told them, hey, again, I'm out of here. I'm going to compete against you?
It was deregulation. They were clueless. I mean, they really were. They were in the rail business.
So when you say deregulation, what
deregulation?
What exactly do you mean by that
meant that the FMCSA and the FMC and DOT were letting their hands off of the regulation of the rates of the trucking, just like they did the airlines.
Got it. Okay.
All of the above. So therefore, everybody was cutting rates, and the railroad wasn't in that business. They were in the rail business, but they were moving their cargo. And it just eventually didn't work, and they closed it down. I had left before they did, but I saw the handwriting on the wall and knew I had to either get with a bigger company or another company, and then finally realized I had to start my own.
Wow. So then how do you, when you initially start your business, I mean, you have to get a truck, right?
Well,
so how do you...
Funny story. Funny story.
How do you get into, say, I want to go buy a big truck?
So before I was in the trucking business, I worked for the trucking company, one trucking company in the railroad. I used to call on his company, and I won't name the name. I used to call on his company. Him and I were really good friends. He's since passed. And he had about 17 or 18 trucks. And he had a partner, and him and a partner, Earl was the smart guy, and his partner was the truck guy. And all I ever knew Dwight to do was work on trucks. He was always outside fixing trucks. And I didn't have the money to go buy a truck. So what I did was I contacted a couple of my guys that were working at the railroad who were driving. I said, look, why don't you go buy a truck and come work for me? I'll get you the business, but you got to maintain your own truck, and hence the owner-operator. That's the owner-operator came to me, and that's how we started. So today we run about 75% owner-operators and about 25% company trucks.
And for people that may not be aware, what is an owner-operator?
Owner-operator owns his own truck, takes care of his own tires, his own fuel, his own insurance, his own taxes. He's an independent contractor that works for us. He can work for whoever he wants. We just happen to be, the ones we get, we happen to keep because we always have the business.
Right.
So, and that's what an owner operator does. He can take his truck and go work for Joe Blow if I get slow. And that has happened over the years. They got to work. And then we have our company trucks who I own and we put employees in them.
Yeah.
So we have two types, two situations where we'll always have a truck working for us.
Right. I mean, with the employees, you know you've got them for consistency.
That's right.
That's right. If all of our owner operators are gone, we've got X number of people that can still get the product delivered.
That's right. That's right.
So how do you compete as a young company, young entrepreneur in the 80s going against these massive trucking industries?
Well, it was a niche what I was in. These big containers just started in 79, 78. These big massive trucking companies didn't know what a container was. And for them to turn that ship around and get into the container business, it was mid-80s, late 80s before they figured out what was going on with the containers. So I'm already in the business in 83, knew how to handle a container, knew what the procedures were, how to handle them, how to get them unloaded, how to get them back, because you only have a certain amount of time to get to use their equipment. So massive charges come if you keep it more than 4 or 5 days. Because
the company shipping still owns the container.
That's correct.
You just have a trailer that it clamps down on, and then you deliver and bring it back.
That's correct. And actually back then, the steamship line supplied the trailer.
Oh, wow.
So all I had was a driver with a truck, and that's all we ever had to buy.
And you pull up, hook up to their equipment.
Come home and had to bring it back. And these big trucking companies didn't know you had to unload them, so they would take them to their Michigan location, and 15 days later it comes back, well, you owe $30, $40, $50 a day demurrage, and they just pretty much left the container business alone. So it was open. It was a niche, and I really was aggressive as a young kid going after the business, and all I remember dealing with, and everybody looked at me, you'll never make it with owner operators. And I'm like, that's the only way I can make it. And secondly, you guys are living off of what you had. Nobody's out there getting new business, and I was out there hustling.
Yeah, I mean,
especially
especially as a young kid. I mean, you were how old when you made that shift?
26.
So 26, you said, I'm leaving a stable rail job. I mean, rail is pretty stable
job.
And you came home, you already had kids in the house, you've got a family that you got to feed.
That's right.
But you still said, I want to make the shift.
2 people had to get paid, the IRS and Cindy.
Exactly.
My wife had to get paid. She had a household to run and never missed a paycheck.
Yeah.
Never missed a paycheck.
And so for you as an owner operator, you've got the connections of making sure the deals happen. And so long as somebody can bring a truck, you can give them as much business as you want.
I had one driver for maybe 4 or 5 months, and then another guy came. And then we hit one guy that he said, look, if you hire me, I'll bring my 6 guys. So right away, we grew up to like 15 trucks in right at a year. And man, we operated with that for a long time. And then, we were operating, doing very well. Business was good. And then Katrina hit. Katrina hits us, and I get a call from the port director, and he says, look, I need you back to work. I'm like, well, we got half our trucks are flooded in the 9th Ward. I'm like, go find some trucks. So we had a leasing company that got us trucks from somewhere up north, brought the trucks down, and we went back to work right away. And everybody remembered that we came right back right after Katrina. And from Katrina, our business just tenfold.
Yeah.
Tenfold.
Because at that point, you're one of the only businesses in town operating.
Trucking, warehousing, yep.
Yeah, and so within that, y'all are doing just short commutes, or
pretty much? No, it's pretty much all local. When you say short, local.
Well, it's a day turnaround.
Nobody slept out over the road.
Gotcha.
Everybody went to a spot, came home the same day. Sometimes twice.
And as an owner operator or an employee of a trucking business, that's appealing. When you tell them, hey, look, you can come work for me, make the same amount of money you're working wherever you are, but you get to sleep at home with your wife and kids.
That's right.
Every night.
And the people were all local guys. The drivers were all local. St. Bernard, New Orleans East, they were all local drivers. And they wanted to be home every night. Now we had a few that wanted the long runs, and we gave them to them. We had them. So, but mostly majority of them to this day still driving our home every night.
That's incredible. And
but the port is so big.
Yeah.
And look, I've said this 1,000 times, but for the port in New Orleans, I'm not in business.
Really?
That's how important the port in New Orleans is to the state of Louisiana and probably 4 or 5 other states surrounding. I mean, we're a huge, huge money concern for the entire area. The port is very important.
Yeah, I mean, that's where is this port in New Orleans, is that the last port going down for certain size ships, or?
That's the last port that can get up River.
Okay.
So nothing can get to Baton Rouge because of the bridges. Now, we're actually stymied at the Mississippi River Bridge now because the ships are obviously getting bigger and bigger. So we just announced that the Port of New Orleans is opening up in Violet, Louisiana. So we just spent a bunch of money buying property, and we just spent a bunch of money on a deal with St. Bernard Parish that we're going to open up another port in New Orleans down. We're going to call it the Louisiana Port, and it's going to be down in Violet, Louisiana.
Gotcha. So you've got these truckings, but now you've decided that you've seen this window into warehousing. How do you, A, make the leap and B, secure land right on the river? I mean, you would think that's already gone.
Well, so back up a little bit. So getting the warehouse business. So look, we would rent whatever we could rent. We were out there renting the best. We were out there renting warehouse space to put our cargo in. I mean, you get a building here, building there, and we ended up with, 2 or 3, 4 different local sites, and I got an operation in each one. I got a manager in each one. I got a fax machine in every place. I mean, it's killing me with the operating costs. So in 07, late 06, 07, the port, which got hammered from Katrina, needed to sell property. And I was in a position where we want to buy property. So I ended up buying the first time the port ever sold land, and hasn't since. And we ended up at this point in time, we now have about 90 acres we bought from the port down on France Road.
So 90 acres, what does that turn into warehouse space?
About
how many buildings?
Right now, 1.5 million square feet.
Wow.
So it's like six buildings, 7 buildings.
And that's a lot of real estate.
It's a lot of real estate
on a river. I mean, a prime port city.
It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And every facility has rail in it, so we can do rail business as well. So we're unloading rail cars, we're reloading rail cars, we're receiving rail cars. There's a bunch of stuff we're doing on all the locations.
And so how do you, I guess, build the company to scale to handle that volume of work? I mean, because you started off with just truck drivers, owner operated. Now you're in people working through these buildings. Now you're acquiring the buildings. Now you're repackaging stuff coming in.
It's not like we went out and got 30 forklifts.
Yeah.
One forklift at a time. And first off, you're buying used ones. And you're getting the worst junk you could find because that is all I could afford. And then you Band-Aid them to keep them running, And then what happened was these forklifts got to be very expensive. So then they started leasing them. So the same note you were paying to buy them, you could lease them. And it just grew, Patrick. It wasn't like I said, okay, guys, we're going to grow to, I need 50 forklifts next month. No, it was one at a time.
And that is something that I like having repeated time and time again to young entrepreneurs wanting to start a business. It just takes time, and you grow organically. That's it. You grow naturally. You didn't say, hey, let's get a buttload of loans and let's buy 20 buildings at one time, hire 300 people, and let's just explode.
I've always hated debt. I only grew when I could.
Yeah.
Had to pay for the growth. I remember talking to one of my bankers one time, and I told him, I said, look, I need 30 grand. He said, what do you need it for? I said, I need 30 grand for computers. And he was like, damn, if you need that for computers just to keep, he threw the money at me because he knew how more efficient we would become with the computer systems. And it was like, it was just organically. It just grew one at a time. I mean, look, we started Triton with one store in New Orleans.
Yeah, I was about to.
Immediately opened up Baton Rouge. Then went to San Antonio. And then we, just through organic growth, inside growth, we ended up with 19 stores today. So we're looking at 2 or 3 more, and just can't get enough, just busy as can be with the Granite company.
So what made you go into the Granite company now? I mean, now you're actually purchasing products and not just repackaging.
So now we were trucking
a lot more.
So we were trucking Granite to a customer in Memphis. Okay. So we're bringing his containers up there, and Christian, my oldest son, Christian, and another guy that worked for me said, the guy up there said, you need to get in the Granite business. Right now, it's blowing up because of the storm. So we go up to Memphis, and we actually bought a franchise. We actually paid to buy a franchise and opened up we had the 3 locations. It was going to be New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and San Antonio. We didn't open them up all at once. And Katie was just graduated from UNC. She was in Europe at the time, going to school with Maersk Line. And she just said, Dad, I want to come home. There's nothing over here for me. There's nothing here for me. I want to come home. And so Katie came home and started with Rachel, my other daughter, and doing Triton Stone. And, so it's what, 12 years, 15 years, I guess, it's in business. And we're 19 stores later.
Wow.
Yeah.
So y'all going into a franchise is different than starting something from scratch. What is
something
you kind of learned through that
so
franchise process?
My goal for the Granite company was TCI gets the trucking of the containers.
Okay.
So you're going to start bringing in these containers. That's just another customer for me. And then they became the retail outlet. I didn't get involved in it. That was Christian and Katie. Think of this. I'm regrowing TCI because of Katrina.
Yeah, you're having to bring in trucks from up north that weren't affected.
I'm busy in keeping employees working, keeping trucks working, keeping forklift operators working. I told Christian and Katie, y'all got to make this work. Yeah, I can't give you any time or energy right now. I'll give you the money to do it, and we did.
Yeah,
and it happened, and it worked great. And 15 years later, that's where we're at.
Wow. So it was just kind of this. We'll buy into the franchise asterisk. We want our trucks to deliver.
That's right. So
we don't want to have to bid out to get contracts or award contracts to other vendors when we have a perfectly feasible trucking company here.
At that time, I think there were probably 6 Triton stores. Actually, it was 1, and then they grew 3 or 4 more, and then we had our 3, and we did the trucking for all of them. And then maybe 5 years ago, we bought we're now the franchisor. We own all 19, and there's still 2 or 3 out there that we don't own, but they're still members of the franchise or distributorship.
So what led into that decision of deciding to go upward?
What went upward to buy the franchisee was we were so big. We got to be
y'all specific branches.
We got to be so big, and we were much more efficient than they were. And they realized they were just going to go down to South Florida, run 3 stores down there, and we bought the rest of the stores from them.
Wow.
So that's how it worked. That's how Triton worked out.
Yeah, I mean, because that's also not an easy decision.
No, it was not. It wasn't a smooth ride.
I bet.
They didn't like us at all. We were the elephant in the room. I mean, we were gobbling up everything. We were taking sales. I mean, we were just very aggressive at what we were doing. And, we started surrounding people, and they just said they had to get out, type thing. So.
Well, because and listening, we know each other outside of this. You're an uncle-in-law to me. But for those not listening, it's a family business.
Absolutely.
Triton Stone.
Triton Stone is a family business.
And so when you come as a franchisee, when you're as a franchisor, you're looking, oh, great, this person is buying this. Oh, wait, now they're kids. All right, now there's like a family business running. That's a whole unit running this business better than I can.
That's absolutely right.
And then it's, as the family, you become so aggressive and so wanting so much more to grow the brand and grow the business that it just organically happens. And naturally, like, hey, why are we still a franchisee? Why don't we look into that discussion? But then, like you said, you hit roadblocks.
So, and the only reason we have, and I think the word is distributorships, that we have 3 left, only because they're not interested in selling to the brand. But everything we're doing now is when we open a new store, it's going to be our store. We're not really opening it up anymore for members. It's strictly us.
Right. So if somebody comes to you and says, hey, we've got a great location in Dallas or something. Why don't you come open a store here? Or can we buy in? Say, we'll open a store. We may hire you to run it, though.
So there's a group in Dallas that own the Dallas stores, and they want us to buy them. And we're like, no, because we don't like the way, and we're going to open up in Dallas. And they have to take the Triton name off their building. So we're opening up right next door, actually. And
wow.
we try to do business, but that stuff happens. Everything's not going to be the smooth road. So
yeah. I mean, and how do you kind of overcome those challenges of having somebody who's not willing to budge, and they're saying, no, we're using your name, we're here first.
Yeah, you just operate. That's our decision. We're going forward with it, and the chips fall.
Yeah.
See where the chips fall.
Wow. And so now y'all are doing much more than just bringing Granite in. Now you're on the retail and personalization and construction and all that.
Sinks and faucets and toilets and tubs and tile and just everything we're doing. And it's a one-stop shop for everybody to come in and get what they need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is great. Where are y'all at in Baton Rouge over here?
Florida Avenue.
Florida. Okay.
Is that it? I think
Florida. No. Choctaw.
Yeah. That's it.
So y'all are over there, and it's growing, it's doing well?
We bought, yes, it's actually one of our better stores. We bought the old Sterling Boats shop on Choctaw.
Okay.
He had closed up right after, he closed up right after Katrina, lost everything. And we bought the building, and it's doing wonderful. Baton Rouge is doing wonderful.
That's excellent.
New Orleans is doing very good.
Yeah.
Our busiest stores are Texas, San Antonio, and Austin, and Little Rock, Arkansas, of all places. Crazy. Don't even ask. I don't know why.
Little Rock, Arkansas.
Maybe nobody had Granite and everybody's trying to get it now. I don't know.
Or no one has touched any homes in Little Rock, Arkansas in
maybe
years.
Everybody's rebuilding, I guess. I don't know. Just funny. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So you've raised your kids in kind of this entrepreneurial mentality household.
It was.
What is the dynamic of a family business? I come from a family business. I grew up in a family business, so I'm aware of the dynamics. And sometimes, especially now that we're getting older and siblings are in the business, they think their idea is better than mom and pa's. And how do you kind of balance that? We're still family members, but the business has to run.
I think, they grew up, look, I made breakfast every morning. I was home every night for dinner. There was the moments when I wasn't. I mean, I coached soccer, 4 or 5 kids. And I think you said, don't hit the microphone.
He said, don't hit the microphone. Here I am. Bam!
So, I was there. And I think and we talked about it at the dinner table, and I think they got the gist. They got it, Everybody's not a leader. I got workers. And my youngest, Monica, did not come to work for us. She's an airplane pilot, went to Auburn, got her degree, and she's an aviation management degree. And then she flies planes for AirMed. That's what she wants to do, and very happy for her. Yeah. Look, we told every one of them they weren't working for us. Everyone. And everyone, Christian comes in, he's working in a warehouse. And then just one thing led to another.
Yeah, and it's like you're not coming in, at top dog. We're not.
No,
you've got to prove
start.
yourself.
We got to start. Yeah.
Which, from a family business perspective, or from a business perspective in general, it's you want to see that as an employee. You want to see if somebody's going to grow from the family. They come in and they're doing the dirty work with
That's
you.
right, with us. That's right.
They're doing the dirty work with everybody, and it's not just sticking somebody in there.
I unloaded containers. I was on forklifts till 10 o'clock at night sometimes. Had to jump in. We had to do it.
Like I think you were telling me a while ago, you were people would say, "Hey, can you get this done?" You said, "I'm gonna get it done, regardless of what has to happen."
I'll get it done. That's right.
And that's a differentiating factor of the trucking company and the Granite company is just whatever it takes, we'll make it happen. And as a family business, it's on you.
That's right.
Because you can't just go home and say, "Oh, we're closed, shop's down." Nope, we've got to deliver these products and this stuff, and you got to do it.
And you don't know how hard it is to close when they tell you the storms are coming or the railroad tracks are closed, and so many things out of your hand, out of your control. And we're missing days here, and that's the feeling amongst everybody. And it's still a family business. Right. It really is. And it's portrayed that way throughout all the companies.
So a lot of the guests here are from Baton Rouge, and it's Baton Rouge centric. You're from the New Orleans.
Born and raised in New Orleans.
Area.
Right.
Something that is a topic that we haven't been able to discuss with a lot of Baton Rouge people is Katrina. What did Katrina do for y'all's businesses in New Orleans whenever it came and hit?
Well, it really devastated the port. Ships were debating whether to come back, customers. We lost large percentage of our trucks that were underwater in the east. We did have a few trucks, maybe 8 or 10 that parked in Elmwood that were saved. What did it do? I think a lot of companies went out of business. The older local trucking companies went out. And of course we were there to pick up the slack. And that's pretty much how our growth came. There was old blue blood truckers in the city of New Orleans. I mean, guys that have been doing it for 70, 80, 90 years. And there's still a couple of those guys left, the guys that were able to change. But the rest of them just pretty much weeded out, if you will. Just had enough, basically.
Well, and that kind of translates into a similar situation we're having now, but on a global scale. With Katrina, it was centralized.
That's right.
The issue was just in New Orleans. It affected the surrounding areas, but New Orleans took the brunt of that disaster.
Yep.
And now the whole world is going through a disaster together through the pandemic, through the coronavirus and everything that's happening with it. How do you, after going through Katrina, do you feel you're better prepared for this pandemic, or was it, it doesn't really affect us because of the line of business?
Well, first of all, I'd have had pandemics in my insurance policy. I would have, if I'd have known,
Right.
And then they automatically said no flood, no wind, no rain. We're not covering anything if it's handled with, so the insurance companies always,
Right.
and they always kept pandemics in there, which we were like, what's a pandemic?
Now we know.
Right now we know, but guess what? It'll never get put in your policy, and you won't be able to get it. But no, we never prepared for COVID, never. And it hurt the trucking companies. It hurt the packaging company. Triton was booming. People being home, renovating their homes.
I was about to say, I'm from, for example, my day job is in accounting, right? And we have a lot of different clients in a lot of different fields and a lot of different businesses. Our restaurant clients, when they closed, or bar clients, whenever they close, they can't get that business back.
Never.
From an accounting perspective, your financials still got to happen. Your tax return still has to happen. But on the flip side for y'all, everybody was home and was like, oh my gosh, I hate our bathroom. Oh my gosh, I hate our kitchen.
That's it.
And people said, if we're going to be spending time home, let's build it and renovate it to what we want. Because before, when you're working and you're going 9 to 5, you're never home.
And you're in the kitchen 5 minutes.
Exactly. I think I spent collectively last week 3 hours at my house that I was awake.
Yeah.
Because I was working
Accounting
or not home.
Going.
And it keeps going. And so for everybody else in the normal day-to-day was probably experiencing a similar, probably not 3 hours in a week.
Right.
But, they were experiencing a similar, I'm not home. I'm not using my kitchen. The sink leaking or the faucet not working. It's fine.
It's fine.
But when you're stuck at home and you have to cook.
That's right.
Because you can't go eat. You can't go do takeout because for a while it was like 2 or 3 weeks, like everything was closed.
You had to cook.
And you had to cook.
Yeah, you had to cook.
And so it makes sense that it's like, you know what?
Every Triton store was up. Every store was up. And then, you go to the trucking side, the ships quit coming.
Exactly.
The Port of New Orleans, we lost all of our cruise business. So huge loss to the Port of New Orleans this year.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you're talking 3 cruises a week from 4 different companies. You're talking 12 ships, 15 ships a week. We lost. That's a lot of revenue we lost to the port.
And that whole industry just...
Then the containers from Europe didn't come. The Asian containers didn't come. But I'll tell you, in the last 3 weeks, it's been crazy.
People are starting to get back.
It's booming.
They now have to... They've probably figured out a way to work through the pandemic. What safety measures do we have to implement?
I think it was
still get the products across.
14 days, the port handled 14 days. I'm sorry, 15 days. The port handled 14 ships.
Wow,
that's big business, man.
Yeah,
that's big. So the numbers are picking up again. So that's good.
Which is great.
It has to.
We're starting to see slowly. Not everybody, because not everybody's coming back.
That's right.
Some businesses are starting to see. They've figured out the workarounds, or they figured out the way to work safely. They figured out the way to give their products to their customers in an efficient and safe manner.
That's right.
And now they're starting to come back.
Right.
Restaurants are slowly starting to claw their way back. Bars are fighting for it.
Yep.
They're doing what they can to get anything in any realm of revenue coming in.
Right.
But for businesses that were like, he hit the mic too.
Sorry.
I'm not the only one. But they're starting to see this slow roll back to reality. And so it's good to see that people are starting to bring stuff into the port now.
Sure.
I mean, but you have to, with everybody at home, can't go out, Amazon. I mean, everything online.
Everything.
And so when a lot of the stuff is made overseas, you got to get it here.
Got to get it.
And Amazon's developing a distribution center at Old Cortana in Baton Rouge. So now that's about to explode because I don't know the exact stats, but like the numbers of online orders in 2020 have skyrocketed, and now it's just going to continue to climb.
Sure.
So now it's how do businesses adapt to that online climate?
That's right.
If you're a retail outlet.
And it all has to come in by a container or by ship.
Yep.
Basically. Yeah, really.
So that's good to see that the port is starting to pick back up.
It is good.
Business is starting to get back in.
It is.
So you've done a lot of this stuff, and now you led with your retired, but you're not really retired.
No, I'm not really retired. Listen, I talk to him daily. Actually, in the last 2 or 3 months, it's been a good busy with them. With the kids, and that's rewriting insurance policies, helping them with that, keeping the bankers in line type thing, and keeping them online with us, and just helping them with major decisions, it is what it is. The phone, I'm answering the phone all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's
and I still have 30-year-old employees that want to talk to Jack. So call me. The phone's call me. So.
And that's something I think that a lot of entrepreneurs, they see. When you say retired, it just means you reach the age of retirement.
No,
it doesn't mean you stop doing anything.
What it means, I don't go in the office at all.
Okay.
I mean, if I went in there 5 times last year, it was a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, seriously, because of the way we can communicate.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to go in the office.
No, don't have to. Everybody can call, email, text, whatever all our port meetings are Zoom. We haven't seen the port people in a year, basically.
Yeah.
Since May.
Right.
So it's all by text or phone.
Which is, you have to.
Everyone
has had to learn how to use technology.
I just couldn't deal with the day-to-day trucker problems, the day-to-day warehouse guy running over his foot, that type of thing. Those days were done for me. I said, that's enough. I'm going to stay home and y'all handle this and call me when you need me.
Yeah, some of the bigger picture stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, hey, we're looking into branching out into this new avenue.
Hey, what do you think about opening up in Dallas? Well, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
And on that topic, how do you look at new cities? When you're looking to move, whether it be Triton or TCI, what do you look at within a city to determine if it's going to be feasible?
So what we do first is we send in a tool van.
Okay.
A tool van is a van that sells all the cutting tools for the fabricators. And depending on his sales to the area, and also while he's doing it, he's also trying to sell slabs. When he gets to a certain revenue of tool sales, we know that area can handle one of our stores.
Okay.
So that's pretty much how we do it. Now we're just opening up our first standalone tool store in Charlotte, North Carolina.
So only
tools. There's 17 people in Charlotte selling Granite, and we're selling a lot of tools, and we don't feel like jumping in to see who's going to get to the bottom first on Granite sales. So we're just going to sell tools.
Well, it's like the story of I forget the guy's name, but during the gold rush, everybody was trying to go out and mine gold, and he set up shop and started selling the tools to mine the gold.
Shovels.
Yeah, he's selling shovels.
Perfect. That's what we're doing. We're selling the tools to cut the granite.
Yeah.
And y'all can fight it out for the granite sales. We're going to go to where granite's more margin, and we're going to start selling tools, which are great margin for us.
Absolutely.
And we got to, so that's just another venue we're going to start doing. Standalone tool sales, and if it can stay in a granite sale, we'll do it. If not, we'll move on. So,
yeah. I mean, that makes sense. You want to get your feet wet.
That's right.
Especially at this point in the game.
And get your name out there. Make sure that people know who you are. Look, we come with a stellar service. That's all we can offer. Make sure the product's right. Make sure the product's priced right. And give service. Deliver it when you got to deliver it. Fix it when you got to fix it. Stand up. And that helped.
And I mean, that's with everything is customer service.
Service.
I don't care what business you're in or what product you sell. You do, you are in customer service. Accounting is customer service. Shipping is customer service. Restaurants, customer service. Everything is customer service.
That's right.
Flashbang producing the podcast, customer service.
Customer service, yeah.
It's what can we do for the customer to make the product better, to then retain that customer and have them coming back.
Yep. That's it.
Within you doing all these things, everything focusing around the port, it almost kind of makes sense that you would take the next natural step to be on the board.
So yeah, it was one of my OBACs, if you will, or paybacks. It's an unpaid position. I felt that my 36 years in the business in the Port of New Orleans, I felt that I could lend something to the board for the next generation. Look, we have a great group of guys and women on the board with me, and I enjoy knowing what's going on in the port, and I enjoy explaining to them what we're doing, what's the pros and cons of our next step type thing, and it's just been very rewarding, a lot of fun. I think I'm heading into my third year, and it's a 5-year gig, and one of my goals was to make sure that we started this new port down in Violet, or be part of it. And look, that's a 5 to 7 year fruition thing. But right now, we laid the groundwork to get it started, and that was the key. Because look, the ships are getting bigger and bigger, and our facilities on the river, under the Mississippi River Bridge, cannot handle what's coming. So we feel like by opening up Violet, we'll handle the bigger ships and still have the same port in New Orleans that we have today.
Yeah.
So we're talking all new business down at the Violet port.
Yeah, I mean, because you've got people are only going to continue to order more online, and order more stuff shipping.
And the world supply of people is still growing at a rapid pace, and the country's growing.
Yeah, which I mean is great news.
Great news. It really is.
If y'all were saying we don't know if we can keep the existing port open, would be a different conversation. But the conversation is saying, hey, we need more. We need more space.
Well, at first everybody thought, well, why are you closing up the port of New Orleans to do this? So, well, we're not. I mean, that's where the middle 9,500 container ships can come into the port of New Orleans. But we're talking 15,000 container vessels coming into Violet. Wow. And we're not gonna lose any business. We're gonna double our business.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it really is gonna be incredible. It's gonna be incredible for the state.
Yeah, I mean, because you got to think about the jobs that's going to take to run that port.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can only have so many machines doing what is going to be done, but at the end of the day, you got to have people there.
Clerks and operators and crane operators and forklift operators. 600-700 people working on the riverfront down there.
What, 600-700 people is what they're projecting?
That's what they're projecting.
That's
another Kaiser aluminum for Chalmette.
That alone's incredible.
It's incredible. And look, the governor sees it. The governor sees what we're doing. He's 100% behind us. You know, he's done a great job supporting us. It's been good.
Yeah, I mean that's anytime I can see a big business come in and bring jobs. You know, what people see the Amazon fulfillment center coming here as, oh, you're kicking the little guy. Yes and no. Yes, yeah, you're kicking small businesses trying to sell retail products, but that's just when you need to seek out the small businesses more. But on the flip side, there's got to be people manning that.
Sure.
How many jobs are going to be created by this fulfillment center? I mean, you got to think about how big the mall is.
Right. Think about it.
It's a big space.
Think about it.
They can put as many machines in there as they want, but there will be people in the facility.
So I heard, and I don't know how, and again, this might be a rumor, I don't know, but I heard they're taking over the old airport at New Orleans Airport. Amazon.
Really?
That's what I heard. Somebody made a comment the other day at a Zoom meeting we were on that he heard Amazon's coming in to take over the old airport. Now, I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if that's a fact, but we'll see, you know. They're big enough too. Time will tell.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
Time will tell.
Yep.
So kind of getting towards the wrapping up part of the show, you've done a lot over the course of your career and are continuing to do a lot. I'm sure you've kind of gathered many, many lessons learned along the way. But what are 3 lessons you've learned that you wish someone had told you or you would like to impart on a younger, whether it be entrepreneur or even just a business person?
Stay out of debt if you can. Don't go crazy in debt to get in business. Keep it controlled. Take care of your people. Take care of your employees. Look, I still have drivers. I mean, I have people who've been with me for 30 years still. And we don't lose our people. We take care of our employees. We take care of our people. We take care of our drivers. And be moral. You know, run a legit business. Take care of your people. You know, I pray every day. That we wake up tomorrow with a good business.
Absolutely.
It works.
Yeah,
we've been very blessed.
Yeah, and it's recognizing those blessings and saying, hey,
yep,
we're appreciative to be here.
Very much.
You know,
and appreciate everybody that's been along for the ride.
Exactly.
Yeah, very much. And look, you know, I've seen these households. I've helped families raise their kids with their jobs work. You know,
Absolutely.
I've seen it, and I've seen kids go to Catholic school that never would have went. I mean, the Catholic high school or college that never would have went before because we helped them get to achieve that.
And I think it was Alvarez that we had on the show, and he was talking about he really looked at it. How many mouths does their business feed?
Yeah,
and he's like, we feed 400 to 500 mouths. He's like, it's not just the fact that we've got X number of employees, but you have to consider the fact of how many people they're putting food on the table for.
Right. I think the other day they tell me I think we're up to almost 700 employees.
Wow.
700 people working for us.
Between all the companies?
Yeah.
700 people.
It's crazy.
It's
crazy. It's crazy. But within
it's
a blessing.
Exactly. So you've got 700 people that work for you. That means
work with us. Yeah.
Work with you.
Yeah.
So let's say on average 3 people they're probably feeding. You're feeding what, 2,100 people?
I hope we're touching a lot of
touching
stuff.
a lot of mouths.
A lot of stuff out there. That's right. So,
but it's incredible to recognize just how much of an impact what started out as one truck in '83 turned into.
Never. Of course, don't
never.
tell. I'm not sure. Don't ever. I didn't wake up saying, hey, we're gonna go have 700 employees. I mean, no. It was one day at a time, one truck at a time, and that's what it was. One customer at a time.
Yeah,
and that's all you can do.
And especially, I mean, you see a lot of people who are successful, and they talk about what led them to be so successful, or what led them to here. For a married individual, male or female, it's the support of the person back at home. You know, we had a question come up earlier in the Facebook feed of how did your wife feel about making this leap, you know? Because it's a partnership.
She was more for it than I was.
Really?
Because look, every job I was taking, the 2 or 3 jobs I was taking, everybody wanted me to move. Jack, we need you in Houston. SP Railroad wanted me to go to the West Coast. And she's like, the only way I'm gonna keep him here is if he starts a company here and keeps it here. And she was more for it than I, and she was more supportive. I mean, look, I have confidence, and it's a big step having 2 kids at home, just built a house, and I'm gonna quit and start a company. Well, she's like, do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
You know, and she kept the books for about 2 weeks, and we forgot to bill everybody, and we ran out of money. And I'm like, we got to change. I need to hire somebody.
Yeah.
And then I hired an employee and went from there. So
wow. So
but she was very, very supportive. She was not worried 1 second.
Yeah. But
we were young.
Yeah. You were young,
man.
and the risk is low.
Risk was very low.
You know, that's and you got. Even with one kid, risk is still moderate. When you start growing older and you start having more kids, then the risk goes up, obviously. But hopefully, you've had years under your belt to build something.
Yeah, I don't think I ever had a sleepless night. I really don't. There was times when I was worried about what's happening the next day, but look, I always felt I had it. You know, so.
Kevin Gardner said he loves you, by the way.
Hello, Kevin. How are you, buddy?
So, what is something that's, I mean, outside of Cindy, what is something that's kind of kept you in Louisiana? What do you love about Louisiana?
My roots. You know, look, I'm born in Gentilly, went to local St. Raphael's School, went to Holy Cross, went to UNO, and look, you owe it to your community, you owe it to your people. I don't want to move to Mobile or Baltimore. Look, I'll go visit, I'll go see my people up there, but look, you're from New Orleans, and when you say that, people's eyes lighten up when you say that. So I just feel very strong to the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I really do.
And that's, you know, the whole purpose behind the show was to highlight those individuals that stayed here, you know, that didn't move off elsewhere, didn't decide, hey, let's make our corporate headquarters outside of the Baton Rouge or outside of Louisiana. Right. You know, we stayed here because we love it here. I'm happy that my kids, you know, 5 of my kids stayed. You know, Claire works for us up in Baltimore. Her husband works for the Secret Service. Monica's in Birmingham working for the airline. And look, we stay here too, but I can't be, they have to move on. They have to spread their wings, you know, and I'm okay with that. Right. But I'm glad what I have here. I'm glad we have our family here, and Cindy's family's all still here. You know, it's all good stuff, man. Absolutely. It's good stuff. So outside of business, or maybe in business, what is something that you did as a kid that you wish you could still do today had no one stopped you? Still be on a milk truck with my dad. Really? Delivering milk. So your dad was a milkman. Wow. It was, you saw people every day. You know, you saw your customers every day. You know, you were bringing milk. And look, if they owed my dad money, he still brought them milk. You know, he wasn't gonna let those kids go without milk. It's things you learned. It was fun. It was a good experience. Yeah, good experience. You're getting to interact with your customers literally every single day. I'm with my dad 9 hours a day. My 2 other brothers, every now and then they would work, but I just felt very called to. I enjoyed it. Yeah. I enjoyed getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning and going to deliver milk. I mean, we did every Saturday and every holiday. You know, we were on a milk truck. Wow, fun stuff. So. And I wanted to be a rancher my whole life. I wanted to be a farmer. What drove you to be a farmer? My dad was from Iowa. He was a farmer. I met my mom in the Air Force at Keesler, and then they got married and stayed. But just always felt like it was in my blood to be a farmer. I wanted to be a farmer or a rancher or something. But
trucking called. So I did trucking.
Yeah. And here you are.
Here I am.
Feeding 2,100 people potentially.
I guess. Didn't look at it like that, but you're right. It's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you got 600 or 700 on the payroll, but you're really feeding a whole lot more.
A whole lot of people, yeah. It's good stuff.
Well, for the final question, what is something I can do to help you?
Keep your age here in the area. Keep your age. People graduate from LSU and from the surrounding colleges here in town. And I say town, their town. Take care of where they were born and bred. Take care of the Baton Rouge area. Take care of the New Orleans area. What's in Houston? I mean, what's in Minneapolis? What's in California? You can do it right here.
Yeah,
so that's my thoughts.
And it's anyone who says they're going to leave and go somewhere else or uproot and go to Dallas or wherever it may be. You're going to move to a city you know nobody, and some people may like that thrill.
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, you have to rebuild your life. When you grew up here, you're born and raised here, you went to LSU, you went to ULL, you went to a Louisiana university within the state, you know people.
That's right.
You've got connections. The great thing about Baton Rouge, it's the biggest small town there is.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I can reach anybody I need to within 2 or 3 degrees of connections.
That's right.
And you're not gonna get that in a big city.
And it's not for everybody. You can't. Yeah. It's not. But you got to think about it. You got to look at it. You got to think about it. If you have to go, you have to go. But your hometown is the best town.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
Absolutely.
So, and blessed to be able to do it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Jack,
Enjoyed
for
it
coming
very
on.
much.
I really appreciate it.
Yep.
I'm glad we got to get into everything we did. I learned a whole lot. I appreciate that.
Well, you're welcome.
So, and I thank everybody else for watching or listening, whichever platform you are consuming this on. And we want to do a big shout out to our sponsor, Alvarez Construction. If you are looking to have a house built, but more than a house, to build a place to raise your family, check out Alvarez Construction, and they'll be able to take care of you every step of the way, make you feel like a member of their family, and just build you your dream. So thank you all for tuning in. I am Patty G, host of the Patty G Show, here with Jack Jensen. Thank you so very much, and y'all have a good one.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.